This video contains flashing lights and colors.
Well, the holiday season is upon us once again. In a few weeks, you may very well be stuffing yourself at the table. But before that happens, how about a few dark rides for an appetizer? Yep, just like in the summer, we're revisiting the wonderful world of dark rides. And I think I found 10 more memorable ones. I really don't think I'm gonna run out of these anytime soon. The best word I'd use to describe all of these dark rides is surreal. Some of them weird and some of them just trippy. One of these dark rides is a complete disaster, but we'll get to that one towards the end. Also, if you stick around to the end, you'll get a special bonus clip of me exploring an abandoned high school and finding an animatronic there. Now, one more thing before we get started. I want to give a big shout out to the Dark Ride database once again for allowing me to use their footage for this video. Once again, they have an excellent website that pretty much documents every single dark ride on Earth. Plus, if you want to binge watch dark rides, their YouTube channel is a great spot to do that. I will link both in the description, so you can go ahead and subscribe to them. Now then, let's get started with the dark rides. Number 10 is, and this is a long name, Miniwah und das Geheimnis von Gold Creek City at Germany's Freizeitpark Plan. This translates to English as Miniwah and the Secret of Gold Creek City. Now, this is one of those rare coaster dark ride hybrids that you don't see that many of. Reason being is that dark rides are all about atmosphere and taking in the scenes, whereas roller coasters are more focused on fast-paced thrills and enhanced physical sensations. But there are a few attractions out there that combine the two, including this one. Now, looking at this POV, you may think that it takes place at night, but actually, it's completely indoors. In all honesty, this kind of reminds me of the old Wild West segment from the Great Movie Ride. This, however, is a powered roller coaster. In this coaster design, the train picks up electricity from contacts in the rails to power a motor on board. This powers it through the entire layout with little use for gravity. Powered coasters commonly have short layouts and will often make several circuits through them. For Miniwah, guests navigate the full course 3 times in a row. Now, the course itself has some pretty interesting scenery, including a forest with wild animals, a dentist pulling out someone's teeth, and oh look, a submechanophobic moose with 2 indigenous children riding his antlers. The sets are pretty cool, but you don't really have time to look at them as the coaster just zooms by them. Interestingly enough, each circuit is faster than the others, so you just zoom past the scenery at an increasing speed with each lap. That alone is pretty odd. Imagine going through the Haunted Mansion 3 times in a row with each time getting faster.
When the crypt doors creak and the tombstones quake. Crypt doors creak and the tombstones quake. Crypt doors creak and the tombstones quake.
Even stranger, after the first circuit, the lights start flashing, making it even harder to see the scenes. You know, it's rides like this why I have a photosensitivity warning at the beginning of many of my videos. In all honesty, it does look like a thrilling and very well-themed roller coaster for families. But of course, it's only number 10 on this list, so things are gonna get a lot stranger as we move on. Number 9 is Cosmicar at Monte Higueldo in Spain. Now, Monte Higueldo alone is a pretty surreal park. It has an old steel roller coaster built on a concrete wall, and its attractions give perhaps some of the best views in the world, overlooking the Bay of La Concha and the island of Santa Clara. Amidst its mountainside attractions is a dark ride located between the bumper cars and a parking area. This dark ride, themed to space, is called Cosmicar. Guests board small rocket-themed ride vehicles, and after pushing a curtain out of the way, they're met with a rocket and fluorescent stars and moons. It looks like a life-size version of an elementary school craft project in the best way. There's also this robot that kind of looks like a multicolored version of the Cuban flag. After this area, you enter a room that resembles what appears to be a planet with multicolored volcanoes. In another POV though, the volcanoes were all red and there was some kind of light effect on the wall, so maybe it changes for every ride. On the side, you'll see what looks like a modified X-Wing and eventually pass under a long-legged alien robot. Next, you'll enter an area full of bright red cliffs and an astronaut just floating through. Perhaps this is supposed to be Mars, but then, for no reason at all, you suddenly enter what looks to be the inside of a boat. with vines on the walls and 3 lanterns. Then there's a cold-looking cryo chamber type area, more metal-looking walls with lights, and then I guess you're inside of an asteroid. I don't know how else to describe it. Then the ride just ends. It's definitely one of those visual-based experiences that's hard to explain in words. Me personally, I put my earphones in and play Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Now that would be a fitting song. Now for the number 8 spot. Like with my last Dark Rides video, we're heading to the world of Sesame Street, this time in Spain. At the famous Port Aventura, there's a Sesame Street dark ride called Sesame Street Street Mission. This, of course, is made by the fine folks at Sally Dark Rides, along with the help of Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Now, in our last Dark Ride video, we talked about Sesame Street Spaghetti Space Chase. That ride involved an alien stealing the world's pasta. Weirdly enough, this ride is also food-themed, as guests help Detective Grover solve a mystery where the world's biggest cookie has gone missing. Now, if you want to nitpick, you could point out that the world's biggest cookie was 102 feet wide and 40,000 pounds, so it's highly unlikely anyone would be able to steal it so easy. But you know what? This is Sesame Street, not a true crime channel. Now, first things first, you gotta give credit to these animatronics. They're perfect. I actually saw one of them at the 2018 IAPA Expo up close. And they truly bring these characters to life in the best way, so you've really gotta give Sally credit on these. As for the ride's premise, it's a shooting dark ride, and here's the strange part. You actually shoot cookie crumbs to earn points. You see, the cookie crumbs are supposed to be clues to find the big cookie. Each crumb is worth points, and you can also get points by clicking and interacting with other items on the screen. Likely to avoid resembling weapons, the laser guns are actually shaped more like remote controls than pistols. Spoiler alert, at the end, it's revealed that the person who stole the big cookie was Cookie Monster. If you think that sounds predictable and anticlimactic, you're clearly taking a Sesame Street ride way too seriously. Even though this ride has a big focus on screens, it's honestly pretty cool. The way it blends the screens and the animatronics together, along with implementing an interactive video game, makes it worth riding for sure, no matter what age you are. Number 7 is an interesting case that manages to be both insanely weird and insanely adorable. And that's Madame Freudenteich's Curiosities at Germany's Europa Park. Now, most likely, you've heard of Europa Park before, but not too many people talk about its dark rides. Honestly though, this one is absolutely worth discussing, as it's both a psychedelic experience and a wholesome family attraction. Located in the French area of the park, and in the basement of the Eurosat Can-Can coaster, this ride tells the story of an elderly woman who collects various things, including dinosaurs. But unlike the soon-to-be-defunct Disney attraction, these dinosaurs are friendly. All they really want to do is chill out and eat cake. This ride has several dinosaur animatronics, all of which are unique and charming. What's more, some of them even blink, which actually does a lot to breathe life into them. It really is amazing what one simple motion can do to enhance an animatronic. There are plenty of dinosaurs on this ride. There's a Stegosaurus under the laundry, a Parasaurolophus beekeeping, a Brachiosaurus with a giant scarf, and many more. This kitchen scene has small dinos playing in the sink, with one of them in the refrigerator and another one hanging out in the oven. By the end, all the dinosaurs gather together for a party. And although this particular dinosaur is a bit creepy to look at, the whole scene is once again very endearing. At the very end, Madame Freudenteich herself makes an appearance, sending you off with an Auf Wiedersehen. I feel like if this ride was at Disney, a lot more people would be talking about it, but it really is on their level. As bizarre as the concept is, it's done perfectly. And if you visit Europa Park, don't forget to check it out. For number 6, we're staying in Germany with Drachen Magic at Ritterhaus. This ride is definitely surreal, but it's also flat out adorable, and pretty damn creative too. So what the park did was take an old barn that used to be used as a storage area for them, and convert the building into a dark ride based on dragons. So here's the basic story. The park's mascot, a wizard named Fabulous, spelled without an O, decided to take a giant dragon egg home with him. Eventually, he found more eggs and also brought them home, basically turning his barn into a dragon daycare. Eventually, he decides to enchant a bunch of sofas so that guests can hop on board and see the dragons in his barn. If you love dragons, this ride has no shortage of them, and they're pretty much around every corner. There's one coming out of the wall, one eating hay, and one flashing his high beams at you like a jackass on Route 8. There's also one who seems to have tangled himself up in the Christmas lights, which is just flat out adorable. Towards the end, you could see Fabulous having tea with a dragon. And for some reason, they just shake their heads at you disapprovingly. At the end, you come into a dark room with a bunch of glowing eyes, and then disco party. No kidding, there's actually a disco ball overhead. For some reason, right after this scene, there's a little miniature clown doll just hanging against the wall. This is a strange ride for sure, but it's also uniquely charming. A big part of this ride's charm was the park's decision to keep the wooden structure of the building's roof in plain sight, according to the Dark Ride database. Moreover, about 95% of this ride was built in-house, story and all. And there's an excellent interview on the Dark Ride database's website that I will link down below. In one part of the interview, the park CEO Bastian Lamp said the following: "We really put a lot of details and references in the ride. Take the first scene for example, with the mice. When you count, you will notice 21 mice holes in that scene. That symbolizes the 21 people who worked on the ride." He also added, "You'll find another reference when you study the names of the dragons. They're called Werner, Franz, and Anton, for example, all names of people from the German theme park industry that are included in the IAAPA Hall of Fame. These reference coaster designer Werner Stengel, Europa Park founder Franz Mack, and coaster legend Anton Schwarzkopf, or Schwarzkopf depending on how you prefer to pronounce it." It's obvious that a ton of effort was put into this attraction, and if you ever find yourself in Germany, I highly recommend giving it a ride. Across the German border, we have number 5, Knight's Ride Tower at Austria's Phantasiana. This is a super rare example of a vertical dark ride, as in a dark ride where you don't move horizontally to go through the scenes, but vertically, yes, up a tower. This freefall tower was built by Swiss manufacturer ABC Rides. The ride concept is known as a freefall tower and a vertical dark ride, which is exactly what it sounds like. After entering the queue and checking out an excellently detailed dragon animatronic, you board a 10-seat ride vehicle and are lifted upwards towards the first scene. Here, you'll encounter a sleeping dragon and a crocodile, along with a few scattered spiders. And in the background, there's a projection of a knight riding on his horse. One floor up, and there's a satyr playing on his flute, while a bunch of other spiders are in the room with him. Man, that satyr has balls to be in a room with that many spiders. Next up, you'll see the same dragon from the queue area along with 2 sleeping dragons in the background on the projection. Once again, there are a bunch of spiders in the room. Oh, and there's a snake in the room too. And you just gotta love how one of the dragons decides to attack you and then immediately goes back to sleep. In the final scene, you finally see the knight and his horse along with a griffin on his right. And it's at this moment that you drop 20 meters, or about 66 feet. Immediately after this drop, you'll see one of the severed talons of the griffin in the floor, which hints that the knight was successfully able to defeat him. Now here's the really interesting part about this ride. Do you remember on how it's tough to be a bug? There is a hole in the back of your seat to allow a piston with a rubber nub to poke you in the back when the wasps are supposed to sting you? And do you remember how on Shrek 4D, there were leg ticklers under the seat to simulate spiders running underneath you? Well, this ride has both back pokers and leg ticklers. The leg ticklers simulate all the spiders you see, and the back poker activates when the griffin shows up, simulating the talons sinking into your back. You could very well call this a 4D dark ride drop tower experience. That's definitely a mouthful, but it's a unique attraction nonetheless. It's not the only vertical dark ride out there, but it's definitely a memorable one. Another vertical drop ride is Thaolon at Germany's Bayern Park, coming in at number 4. This time, it's not made by ABC Rides, but rather German manufacturer SURREAL. This ride model, known as a family freefall tower, is ordinarily a tame drop tower meant for younger thrill seekers. But as it turns out, someone decided to turn it into a dark ride. Now the regular version of this ride bounces up and down along with rotating. The story of the ride centers on a group of dwarves working in a mine. In each scene, they're doing separate tasks. There's also apparently a wine or whiskey cellar where one of the dwarves is passed out drunk. It's cool that we have these photos on the Dark Ride database. because otherwise, the ride videos make it pretty hard to make out what's going on. That's because the ride is always rotating and bouncing up and down, so it's kind of hard to see the scenes on camera. But still, the fact that you're so close to these scenes makes the ride feel faster than it actually is. And what's ordinarily a tame family attraction was definitely upgraded with the addition of animatronics and scenery. Although there's not a whole lot else I can say about it, it definitely is worthy of this spot on the list. Or not, really it's all subjective. Now we head from the dwarf mines of Germany to the circuses of Poland. Number 3 on the list is Cyrk Luna at Poland's Rabkoland. Located about an hour from the city of Krakow, Rabkoland is a small Polish park you probably haven't heard of, but its circus dark ride is certainly strange. In fact, the dark ride database themselves actually recommended it to me when I asked about recommendations for this video. So this dark ride is supposed to take place in a circus, but here's the thing, some of the visuals are just odd. Why is there a giraffe in a Liberace outfit serving me salad? Why is there a walrus with no tusks, a tie, and a bowler hat? Why do the elephants look like Raven Baxter after eating mushrooms? Why does that pipe organ monkey look like he's seen things? And who are these guys, and why are they standing behind a corner so that you have to turn around to look at them? This whole dark ride is more confusing than it needs to be. And considering the 2 other dark rides I rode in Poland are also confusing, it must be par for the course for dark rides there. Now we've come to a really weird dark ride, and this one is back in Austria at the classic Wiener Prater. More specifically, a dark ride called Alt Wiener Grottenbahn, or Old Vienna Grotto Railway in English. I feel like I've talked about a bunch of rides at Wiener Prater on this channel before, but why stop now? The best way to describe this ride is that it's simply all over the place. For the most part, the course consists of several windowed dioramas, each representing a different famous story. You also have various stories in bigger scenes with animatronics, like this extremely creepy one of Hansel and Gretel. Look at those faces. And why is there a cockroach playing an accordion? Is this Hansel and Gretel, or is it another story that I never heard of? Up next, there's a Little Red Riding Hood scene. The confusing part is that there's a wolf on the bed disguised as grandma, but there's another wolf sleeping on the floor. So which one is which? Is her grandma literally a wolf? Then you have this scene, which I honestly have no idea what it's supposed to represent. Let's see, there's a demon with red hair eating a fish. There's a caveman-looking demon roasting a pig. There's a very offensive caricature of an indigenous person in the background. And then there's 2 snakes, parrots, and... Okay, if anybody can explain to me what's going on here, I would really appreciate it. More scenes follow this, and again, there is no music. Let's see, we have Snow White, who's not on Shrek's table this time. We've got the Little Mermaid. And of course, the classic fairy tale Frozen, with Olaf looking like Sven is about to eat him alive. And of course, there are even more unsettling characters. Wait a second, is that the cast of South Park? Apparently, this ride was built all the way back in 1951, although it has been repeatedly refurbished over the years. Honestly, I'd love to learn more about this ride's history. And now we've come to number 1, and this ride, it's surreal just how completely awful it is. And I mean awful in like a hilarious way. This is up there with Terminus. In fact, you might be able to say that this is worse than Terminus, because at least Terminus had the excuse of being a cheap fair ride. This dark ride, on the other hand, was part of a multi-million-dollar Dubai theme park based on the history and legacy of the Real Madrid Football Club, or soccer as us uncultured Americans would call it. Apparently, this used to be Bollywood Parks Dubai, but just last year, it was redeveloped and rethemed to Real Madrid World. For coaster enthusiasts, it's most well known for having the Bombay Express coaster, which has since been renamed and rethemed to Hala Madrid. This ride apparently has more discrete airtime moments than any other roller coaster, according to designer Skyline Attractions. But if this park has the coaster with the most airtime, they also have the dark ride with the most cringe. Thanks to YouTube user UruRUs, we have some rare footage that's hardly ever been seen, so most people don't even know this dark ride exists. But trust me, you should, for all the wrong reasons. Say hello to number 1, Unstoppables, the Universe Cup. Now, according to early marketing materials, this was supposed to be a shooting dark ride where you took aim and shot at targets to earn points. Alright, so I did some more research, and it turns out that this ride used to be called Sholay, The Hunt for Gabbar Singh, and it was based on the 1975 Bollywood movie Sholay. It used to be a shooting dark ride, but as you'll see, that changed, to say the least, once the park was rethemed from Bollywood to Real Madrid. Somewhere in the process, it was decided to just drop the game altogether. Yes, no targets, no laser guns, nothing. So what do you do instead? Well, there's a couple of scenes of some really awkward deliveries setting up exposition for some intergalactic soccer, football game, whatever you want to call it. And this delivery has to be some of the worst I've ever heard.
You are about to arrive at the entrance of the Scorpio constellation. It is very important for you to know that.
It's important for you to know that what? You said it, not me. Why don't you tell me what is so important that you had to bring it up? Well, apparently it can't be that important because you decided to cut yourself off and not even finish your sentence. I'm just playing, everyone. I should bring up that most likely that sentence was cut off because the evil aliens supposedly hijacked your ship. And if that's the case, it's still awkward. I'm sorry. Who is this alien and why is he looking at me like that? Seriously, this moment is so awkward that even the original uploader started laughing at it. And you just gotta love how the movies on screen just suddenly stop awkwardly. After you see another random clip of aliens, you have this next scene, where the audio suddenly cuts in.
Hello, can you hear me? Listen carefully. You have been hijacked by galactic pirates who are trying to keep you from the match. All is not lost. You have a chance. The Universe Cup organizers are activating a Stargate that will transport you directly to the stadium. Hold on tight. 3, 2, 1, go!
Now, who are these random alien pirates who want to keep you from watching a soccer game? So then you're supposed to arrive at the stadium, but the clip is halfway finished, so it suddenly loops while you're in front of it. Then you finally arrive at the game between the who cares and the whatevers.
I knew I could count on you. The game is very tight, but with you here, nothing is impossible. Cheer with all your strength. Real Madrid and nothing else.
Yep, instead of shooting targets or doing something fun, the ride just expects you to sit there like an idiot and cheer this made-up team that you just met. And hooray, they won! Whoop-de-f***ing-do. And the end of the ride is just you sitting there and watching them celebrate. As the original uploader put it,
that might be the worst dark ride I've ever done.
Yeah, this is the worst one here.
Indeed. I really don't think I've seen a dark ride worse than this. I really don't. Terminus at least had the excuse of being an old fair attraction. It was old, it was cheap, but this, someone spent millions of dollars on this. And from what I've heard, the park is a financial disaster too. Whoever designed this has clearly never designed a dark ride before. Either that or they're a very talented person whose work was handed off to people who had no idea what they were doing. To put it simply, there was no excuse for this ride, and there never will be. With all that said, let's get on to something that doesn't suck. The bonus clip of the animatronic I found in an abandoned high school. Now, I had clearance to be here because my dad was there working on a radiator, and he wanted me to help him out. But this area is off limits to the general public, so don't try to sneak in here. With that said, here's the clip. Okay, so I'm authorized to be here, but I'm in basically an abandoned top floor of the Seymour Community Center. Look at this. This is so cool. It's just like a horror movie or one of those creepy urban exploration videos. Look at the holes in the walls, and the tiles are all cracked. Look at this. This is actually where my grandmother went to high school, not college. Oh, look at the old door numbers. Oh my God. You can almost hear the ghosts of children. I know, that's morbid. Oh my god. It's an abandoned classroom with a chalkboard. Look at all these tiles. They're so, I don't even know when these tiles were first installed. Another classroom. And here is the reason I'm taking this video. I have no idea what this animatronic is. I definitely know it's an animatronic though. Look at this. It's just a random animatronic in this abandoned classroom. That is so cool. It's got his fire truck. Look at those classic FNAF eyes. His name is Sparky, apparently. I don't know anything about this animatronic. If anyone could figure out, then I'd love to know. Comes with an audio cassette tape there. Definitely some lights up there. Oh, there's a license plate. I heart kids. Oh. I think my dad dropped something. That'd be so cool if it was like just something that fell and it was one of those urban exploration videos. And like this place was actually haunted. But if it was at night, I wouldn't be able to see anything. That's so awesome.
Now it's time for the comment shoutout program. This is where I take 5 random comments from my previous video and read them out.
These comments come from my alien encounter video. I am an Ann says, the restraints were uncomfortable. The trick was to extend your body up during calibration so that when you relaxed, it was touching your shoulders, but only just then you got the effect without feeling surprised. Sauce RT7FB says, this ride was just awesome. Patrick the Weatherman says, this video is very cool. Thank you, Patrick. Zippy Yelly says, I adored this ride when it was still around. It just wasn't the same when it got the Stitch reskin. And her Pop Punk Ways says, it can never be as scary as the Snow White ride, but I do wish I was able to experience it.
If you want to see your words in my next video, leave a comment down below and it may be selected. Please note though that inflammatory or spam comments will not be read. Thank you all so much, and if you want to support me on Patreon, you can do so once again at the link in the description. Thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media on Instagram and Facebook, or you can check out my website at themeparkcrazy.com. And I'm on TikTok. This is Theme Park Crazy, and I'll see you all next time.